Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you could play a song called Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. And we're going to start with kind of that verse progression on an E minor, and the way we play E minor. First finger goes to the A string on the 2nd fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like E minor chord, and it sounds really sad. And then from the E minor, we're going to be going to a D major chord, and we play D major. First finger goes to the G on the 2nd fret, second finger on the high E 2nd fret, and third finger on the B string 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds a D major, and it sounds really happy. And then we go back to our E minor, and then we go back to our D, and then we go to a C major chord, and we play C major. First finger goes to the B on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret, third finger on the A string 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the C on our verse, we're going to go into a G major chord. We play G major. First finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, second finger on the low E string 3rd fret, and third finger on the high E string 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the G, we're going to be going to an F major chord. You could do this as a bar F, where you do the first finger across the entire 1st fret, second finger on the G string 2nd fret, third finger on the A 3rd fret, and the pinky on the D string 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an F major chord, and it sounds really happy. Now, if you want to avoid the bar chords, though, a good substitute for that is something called F major 7, where you do the first finger on the B string 1st fret, second finger on the G string 2nd fret, and third finger on the D string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds an F major 7, and it sounds really groovy, happy. And then from the F, we end up back on our E minor chord. Now, the weird part about the song, though, is it's in something called 6/8 time, which means you kind of feel it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What you could do is kind of downs, and you may want to try that, just to kind of feel that 6. Kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on each chord. So we tried it that way, and I'm kind of adding a little right hand muting, so I'm laying down my hand on the saddle to make that a little sneaky, and that can be a cool way to intro the tune too. So we tried that through our verse progression. We have E minor, D, times with a song like this, though, a lot of times I like to add in extra ups. and one of my favorite strum patterns is kind of a down, down, up, so for a 3/4. So a lot of times I kind of like to take that idea, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, and kind of fill in some spaces with kind of some upstrokes. So E minor, D, E minor, D, C, G, there, then we're going into our chorus part. And our first chorus starts on an A major chord, and we play A major. First finger goes to the D on the 2nd fret, second finger on the G string 2nd fret, and third finger on the B string 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an A major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the A, we go to a C major, and then another C major, and then we kind of end with kind of our E minor and our D progression, kind of like our verse to kind of set us back up. So if we tried that with kind of our strum pattern, we have the A, C, C, E minor, D, E minor, D. And then from there, then we'll be going into our next verse part. Now, something else you may want to play around with too is adding bass notes to the song. And a lot of times on that first down, if you're kind of thinking of that down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up kind of idea, you're throwing a bass note for the chord. So on the E minor, you'd have low E for the bass. On the D, you'd have the D for the bass. On the C, you'd have the A for the bass. On the G, you'd have low E for the bass. On the F bar, you'd have the low E bass. And on the E minor, you'd have the low E for the bass. On the A major, you'd have the A for the bass. So we tried that next verse, kind of adding in some bass notes. We'd have E minor, D, E minor, D with a D bass, C with an A bass, G with a D bass, F bass, down, 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 E minor, E minor, D, C, G, basis through our chorus, we'd have the A, C, C, E minor, D with the D bass, E minor, D. Then we kind of have a couple waiting E minors and kind of a stop on the end of that chorus to lead us into our solo part. And our solo starts on E minor, and then we go to a D, and then we go to a C major, but then we go to a B7 chord, and we play B7. First finger goes to the D on the first fret, second finger on the A string second fret, third finger on the G second fret, and the pinky on the high E second fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a B7 chord, it sounds really nasty. And then we kind of repeat that. We go back to the E minor, D, C, B7, and then we go to the E minor, and then a C, E minor, C, but then we go to an A minor chord when we play A minor. First finger stays on the B string first fret, second finger on the D string second fret, third finger goes to the G string on the second fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds like A minor chord, and it sounds really sad. And then from the A minor, we go back to the B7, and then we go back to A minor, and then back to our B7, and then we go back to E minor, and then a D, and then a C, and then an E minor. And then we kind of get back into kind of that E minor, D, E minor groove, and kind of start our next verse. Now, if we're going to try that with our basses, the weird part is the B7 would have the A for the bass, and your A minor would have the A string for the bass. So kind of a bass, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. So we tried it that way. We have E minor, D with the D bass, C with an A bass, B7 with an A bass, E minor with a bass, D with a D bass, C with an A bass, B7 with an A bass, E minor with a bass, C with an A bass, E minor with a bass, C with an A bass, A minor with a bass, B7 with an A bass, A minor with a bass, B7 with an A bass. Really cool arpeggio, and what arpeggio means is just broken chord that almost sounds like a fingerstyle idea. And if you're kind of interested in that, basically your thumb becomes your bass player for the E and the A and the D string, and you can kind of lock your index finger into the G string, middle finger into the B string, and ring finger into the high E string. And kind of a cool arpeggio to actually kind of work through that part would be kind of going thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. It's kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of idea. So I'm playing bass, G, B, E, B, G, kind of with the right hand. So you want to kind of play around with that. And if we tried that solo that way, you'd have the E minor, D, C, B7, E minor, D, C, sounds more like the tune that way. If you wanted to, you could just work one pattern if that's a little bit easier for you to kind of work. So you may want to kind of think about doing it both ways. Actually, it's kind of a warm up and then kind of double timing it. It's like kind of an interesting thing to do. And actually, you can even kind of take that idea from the bridge and even work the whole song that way if you're kind of digging on the fingerstyle idea. One time or 2 times on the chord depending on where your level's at. Got that next verse that way with just one pattern on each. We'd have E minor, D, E tried the double time idea, you'd have the E minor, D, E minor, D, C, G, F, E minor. And then from that verse, then we're going into our chorus part. So then if we took that idea and applied it to our chorus, you could do just the one time on each, and then you have the A, C, E minor, D, E minor, D. And then we kind of have a couple waiting E minors at the end of that. And there's actually this cool little... Or if we tried that chorus with kind of a double time idea, we'd have the A, But that's the basics of how you can strum through and kind of easily fingerstyle through Nights in White Satin. So good luck!